Goodyear knows that performance is everything, whether it's on the road or on the court or field. So when it comes to choosing tires, let Goodyear.com help you choose what's best. Goodyear, more driven.
And now, Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio.
When I pop the trunk, head the deck. Y'all pop the trunk, I pop the hood.
Now act stupid, I'll pop the trunk. Now give me your boom.
Here's Jalen versus everybody.
Hit the brakes. Hi, fans. Thank you for supporting us the last 6.5 years. I'm Jalen Rose. He's David Jacoby. We give the people what they want, consistently, whether podcast, radio, or television. We're really happy to be on in the afternoons, in particular, at 3 p.m. on ESPN2.
This is my favorite intro we've ever done.
I love our program. We have the greatest staff of all time.
What is happening?
We appreciate all of the things and all of the opportunities that have been afforded this fine project. Even the fact that we're doing 2 live shows this Sunday and this Monday in
Tuesday.
New York City. I'll be there. Jacoby will be there. Reggie will be there. Harlan will be there. The entire staff will be there. I'm so very excited.
Not the
now
entire
hit the brakes
staff.
again.
Whenever you say something positive, you follow it up with...
So I was looking at IG because I just joined the last 2 months.
Oh, God.
And the site that I call home, Jalen and Jacoby, had my wrong handle up there. It had Jalen versus everyone.
What?
Okay. Well, the person that did that is no longer working at the show. Okay? They're no longer working at the show.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Listen, you can do your list of complaints. You can do your list of complaints about when you come to the meetings, okay? That's what the meetings are for. This is not giving the people what they want. However, I do want that to be the new intro. I want that to be the new intro every single time. That is my favorite intro that we've ever done. What do we do, Jalen Rose?
We gotta be what they want.
Jalen Rose, I've noticed something during these playoffs. You know, I think Kawhi Leonard going missing and speculating about that. Are they going to break up the Blazers has been a big story. Russell Westbrook, is he the reason that the Thunder can't get out of the first round? All of these storylines are so interesting. But you know what everybody forgot about, Jalen Rose? That the Warriors are the best team in basketball and Steph Curry's coming back soon. And they're probably going to be back in the finals and they're probably going to be the champions again. Have you noticed that it's not, I think that people aren't interested in the fact that the Warriors are so good because it's not fun to talk about. But I feel like it's my duty to bring up the fact, oh, hey, everyone, the Warriors are getting Steph Curry back and they're about to close out their series with the Spurs and then they're going to beat the Pelicans and then they're going to go to the NBA Finals.
So many injuries have been a part of this year's playoffs. How about players that are key role players for certain teams, like Marcus Smart may come back for the Celtics. The Houston Rockets hope to get Ba Mute back.
You're proving my point.
Playoff. Joel Embiid did return for Philadelphia, and you see how he's catapulted them to a team that should make the conference finals. Steph Curry, a top 5 player, continues to get overlooked in that dynamic, but also that, as you mentioned, the Golden State Warriors, the reason why people aren't discussing much of what they're going to do is we want to see them face a team that we feel like have a realistic chance to beat them. On paper, when they're playing against the Spurs, and shout to Manu Ginobili for playing with character and Tony Parker and the Spurs for not getting swept on their home floor, without Kawhi Leonard, we felt like they basically didn't have much of a chance. Now in the next round, when they're going against Rondo and they're going against Drew Holiday and Anthony Davis, I'm not picking them clearly to win the series, but that's going to now make us look deeper into the Warriors' box scores, especially if Steph not playing. That'll be a long series, no doubt.
So you've played in the NBA, you know a lot more about this than I do, but I'm not a doctor, but I've seen Steph Curry progress. He's playing in practice now. He's wearing the uniform and warming up before the games. And Steve Kerr said he's not playing anytime soon, but he also said he's playing without pain. I believe that Steph Curry will be playing in Game 1 of the next series. What do you know about how you progress through an injury, when you're ready, how long it takes you to get not just back in the game, but to get back on your feet to where you should be?
You never truly get in game shape in practice. Not running laps, not wind sprints, not practicing 3-on-3, 4-on-4, 1-on-1. There's no substitute for game shape because not only are you going against the best players in the world, it's playoff intensity and mistakes are magnified. So ultimately, when he's back on the floor, what you do is he's going to do all of those things in rehab, but you limit his minutes and put him in position to try to get in what's considered a responsible game shape, which based on his body type and what I see of his habits, I think that won't be a long transition versus players who eat bad, maybe drink a lot or possibly smoke cigars or whatever they like to smoke or party a lot or hang out late.
That sounds fun.
Like those type of things.
I like those players.
Those type of things can hamper your time in your rehab and stuff. So I think he'll be back in a timely fashion, and I agree with you. Game 1 seems like the target.
So Joel Embiid said that the 76ers' time is now, and I understand that mindset. I understand how you have to feel that way because you can't be in the middle of a playoff series and have your championship hopes still be alive and say, oh yeah, we'll probably be in shape to win the chip in 2 or 3 years when we develop some more. But isn't that really the truth? That the time isn't now for the 76ers to make a real championship run. The time is for the 76ers now to get playoff experience and change their roster a little bit and then in a couple years make a championship run.
You got to consider the source. Here's a player that is 2010 and a couple of block dominant, started this year's playoffs injured, started his NBA career injured, played a total of 82 games his first 3 years, just started playing back-to-backs this season. He's like, oh, this need to happen right now. I don't know how long I'm going to be able to do this.
I guess the time is always now for Joel Embiid whenever he is in uniform. That is an interesting observation, and I appreciate it. If you call 985-80-JALEN, you can leave us a voicemail. Tomorrow is Wednesday. What does that mean, Jalen Rose?
Hey, ladies!
Every Wednesday, it's female voicemails only, so ladies, call 985-80-JALEN, leave us a voicemail. We'll play it on the show tomorrow. Today, we are taking all callers like this.
Jalen Jacoby, this is Rob from Cincinnati, trying to keep a low profile because I'm calling you guys from work. I have a soft move, boss move question. The other day, some coworkers and I went to the Chinese buffet for lunch, little team get together, and one of the guys was eating non-Chinese food from the buffet, so chicken wings and pizza, for example. Is that a soft move or a boss move? Give people what they want. Shout out Reg.
Okay, a few things. Number one, it's always curious which questions and topics Reggie selects for us. And this one is interesting. But I have a lot of topics. I have a lot of thoughts on this. Number one, let's just start with the word buffet. Here's what I've learned in my old age. I want food prepared for me. I don't want food prepared for everybody that I get a tiny little piece of. Like when you go to the breakfast buffet and they've got that big silver tray with the little candle underneath it filled with eggs, that you know they just took like a gallon of that like egg beater stuff and poured it into the pan and mixed it around a little bit. And then secondly, I'm going to ride for Rob's coworker. Perhaps Rob's coworker doesn't like Chinese food at all. But he's just taking one for the team. He's like, look, everybody else is going to the Chinese restaurant. I don't want to derail the whole group just because I want to go. I don't want to like Chinese food. So he's just taking one for the team. Jalen Rose, what do you think about Rob's coworker eating pizza and wings from the Chinese food place?
On this because I'm not a fan of buffets in any way, shape, or form because I don't consider myself a germaphobe. But the problem is when you have a buffet, everybody's picking over the food, breathing on it, putting stuff up, putting it back down. It just happens organically. So you have too many people just hovering over the food that I'm about to eat, number one. Number two, I actually love Chinese food.
Me too.
But I'm not mad at somebody that would eat wings and or pizza from the buffet, and here's why. Because they clearly are part of the menu or they wouldn't be available for the person to eat.
But I have another opinion on this one. I don't like my restaurants to have a variety of different foods from different regions of the planet. You know what I mean? Like there was a place in Brooklyn by my house called Food House, R.I.P. Food House. And Food House was a Chinese restaurant. The whole staff was Chinese. They specialize in Chinese. But if you wanted a hamburger and fries, you could get it there. Also, if you wanted a bean and cheese burrito, you could get it there. And it's like, no, don't try to be what you're not. If you're the Chinese place, just be the Chinese place. I do not want a ground beef burrito from my Chinese restaurant. Don't make pizza if you're a Chinese place. I agree with you.
And for so very long, I was so stuck on what you just said to the point where I didn't embrace when restaurants like McDonald's started to make wings or places like KFC started to make sandwiches. I was like, I'm good. For the very reason you just highlighted.
I'm going to take it so far. I don't like it when there's the combination store. The one that has like the KFC and the Taco Bell. There's one by my house. You can get KFC items there, and at the same drive-through, you can get Taco Bell items. And I understand the logistics of it. I understand that the product is probably the exact same, but I just don't like those.
Hard to believe that baseball season is here. As fans, we demand a lot from our teams. And a new season means not only hope that our teams will do us proud, but a renewed drive and commitment by players and coaches to start strong and finish strong. Goodyear strives to make tires that do the same, to go further, faster, and longer. They're inspired by those who put in the work and effort needed to succeed. So if you demand superior performances from your team, why not do the same for your tires? When it comes to choosing tires, choose right at Goodyear.com. Goodyear, more driven.
If the people wanted a spirited NBA playoff basketball game between the Thunder and the Jazz, that's exactly what they got. The Jazz beat the Thunder in what was a chippy, emotional, technical-filled, Donovan Mitchell, buckets-filled performance in Utah. Jalen Rose, this now puts the Thunder on the brink of elimination as they head back to Oklahoma City for Game 5. Jalen, what is at stake for the franchise and specifically Russell Westbrook in this Game 5 matchup?
Well, a few things may be at stake. First and foremost, probably Billy Donovan's job, because a lot of people are going to deem that them losing is his fault and not necessarily because the Utah Jazz are a better basketball team. Number two, Oklahoma City may lose Paul George in free agency. I hope he stays and runs with Russell Westbrook. I think they have a terrific dynamic that's going to continue to grow, but he's going to have multiple suitors coming at him in this offseason. Three, the reputation of Carmelo Anthony. He went from being the best player on the Knicks to being the third-best player on the Oklahoma City Thunder. Next year, he probably won't be a starter on a playoff caliber team. And lastly, Russell Westbrook is going to take shots because he's the best player. Yes, he averaged back-to-back triple-doubles, which is outstanding, amazing. But I think he gets unfairly criticized and blamed for the fact that their team is just not more complete than the one they're facing in the Utah Jazz. And he's allowed Ricky Rubio to have a signature game that he said he was going to shut him down, and he vowed to do that. And then after they lost the next game, he was like, it's not just about me and him. So now that they're down 1-3 in this series, it's going to be interesting to see the level of fight they come out and play with in the next game.
And you call Russell Westbrook Furious Styles because of a lot of different reasons, but he certainly brought that fury, especially at the beginning of the game. And I think if it had something to do with the media blowing up the Ricky Rubio-Russell Westbrook thing, do you think that he let the emotions get the better of him, especially early, where you could see he was just bringing a level of fury that he doesn't normally play with?
I think he did what you hope never happens, and it's the difference between being in a street fight versus boxing. You have to hold your composure. And I think he got emotionally intoxicated by all of the things that were at play, and he allowed himself to get 4 fouls in the first half, which really cost his basketball team.
It certainly did. And then there's also Paul George, who was kind of going back and forth with Ingles all night and mixing it up a lot. Watching the game, you just kind of felt like the Jazz were more composed and they were intentionally kind of like bringing out this emotion and been mucking up the game, and the Thunder fell for that trap. Do you think that's a fair assessment?
Well, here's what happens when you're playing low percentage basketball. It tends to be frustrating. You have the worst field goal percentage of the season. You have the fewest assists in the season. Just think about this. They had 10 total assists. Russell Westbrook averaged more than that himself on the entire year. And also for a player like Carmelo Anthony and Steven Adams, they've been neutralized by the size and the physicality of the Jazz up front, in particular Rudy Gobert and Derek Favors.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up Anthony, because everybody always talks about, will Paul George stay or will he go? Is Paul George going to go to the Lakers? What's going to happen there? But Carmelo Anthony has an interesting decision to make himself. He can opt out and test free agency, or he can opt into a $28 million salary. Something tells me he's going to choose to do the latter. Then if you are the Thunder, do you want to pay Carmelo Anthony $28 million? No one's going to want to trade for that kind of salary. Like, the next year for Carmelo Anthony is going to be very interesting, especially if the Thunder end up losing this series, which I imagine they will. What do you think happens to Carmelo Anthony over the next 6 or 7 months?
He ends up playing for a team that he doesn't want to play for. Because an expiring contract around the league is a valuable commodity. And with the influx of finance that has taken place over the last couple of years, there are players and deals that can be put together to total $28 million for Oklahoma City to actually move him. So I don't think the dynamics of him being a starting four, A, work in the West, B, work for a playoff caliber team. So in theory, I would not be surprised if they lure Paul George to hopefully stay, should probably be their plan. And then the next domino would be to trade the salary and services of one Carmelo Anthony.
Now, you know we don't do too much research for this show, but I do believe that Carmelo Anthony's no-trade clause followed him to Oklahoma City, which makes this whole scenario even a little bit weirder, because you remember the Knicks and Carmelo Anthony, they weren't on the same page, but to get him to waive the no-trade clause took months and months and months. This is something that will be very interesting and will play out over the next 8 months.
We would have started with that as a backdrop. I would have acknowledged that Carmelo Anthony is going to be in Oklahoma City making $28 million unless he gets traded to the Warriors, the Houston Rockets, or wherever LeBron James is, or possibly Boston as well.
But one thing you did say might hold true. You said Carmelo Anthony will play for a team that he doesn't want to be on, and that might be the Oklahoma City Thunder, which brings us to Socially Awkward. Okay, Jalen, allow me to set this up. There was a Giannis Antetokounmpo fan page on Instagram that posted a quote from Kevin Durant about Giannis. No big deal. Underneath that post, there was some conversation in the comments, and one of those comments was critical of Russell Westbrook. Again, no big deal. However, Kevin Durant liked that comment. That is actually a very big deal. When Kevin Durant was asked about this, he said, there is no story here. That was accidental. No story. Don't talk about it. Move on. Jalen Rose, do you believe Kevin Durant when he says he accidentally did this?
On this fine program, we continue to acknowledge, obviously, KD's all-time greatness, finals MVP, regular season MVP, 4-time scoring champion, arguably one of the top 3 players in the game. But as it relates to being online, he's socially awkward. We talked about his burner account that he created to clap back at people that had negative things to say about him before that got exposed. Now this situation. Can accidents happen? Sure.
Sure.
You can accidentally like something on Twitter.
Ask Jeff
or
Hornacek.
on IG. But what you just said highlighted 2 separate things. One, he was doing an interview and was asked about the Greek Freak. It just is head scratching that he's now in the Greek Freaks fan page reading what other people have to say about that. But also, to take it a step further, really reading so deep into it that when you see Russ's name, you want to either make it bigger or highlight it or accidentally like it. And as somebody that just joined IG almost 2 months ago, holla at your boy Jalen versus everybody. Shout out. With that being said, you got to quickly understand that everybody's going to screen grab and pick it up, especially when it's Russ. And it's just unfortunate that something that we felt like was squashed for public consumption now is going to come back to the forefront, because there's no way that Russ can ignore the fact that this took place.
No. And here's the thing is, I understand how Kevin Durant got to this post. You look at your mentions, a lot of people are talking about you underneath it, so then you click on it, you see the post. But that's one thing. It's another thing to then say, I wonder what all these people are saying. Let me open up the comments. Let me scroll through the comments. Let me read every single one. And then let me find one that happens to be critical of Russell Westbrook right now during this time in these playoffs. And then you accidentally like it? I'm not so sure it was an accident. I don't know what his intentions were, but it does feel like that was something that he intentionally did and then immediately regretted it. And another thing is, once you like it, you can just push the button again and unlike it if it's an accident.
Do you consider this to be something that probably falls into the category of a failed test then?
I don't know. But here's what I do know. I don't even read the comments underneath my own post. And I've got a lot of free time. I don't even read the comments underneath my own post about me. And I don't even get that many. I'm certainly not reading them under somebody else's fan page when they go back and forth and back and forth. Well, very quickly, the Houston Rockets were neck and neck with the Timberwolves in a very closely contested game. At the half, they were only up by 1, and I was thinking to myself, maybe this series will be even. And then in the third quarter, they scored 50 points. James Harden had 22. Chris Paul had 15 in the single quarter. Jalen Rose, did this 12 minutes of basketball put the rest of the league on notice?
It did, and the 37 points you just described by those two individuals in one quarter is the most by two teammates in a playoff quarter.
Wow.
That just shows you how dominant they were.
Wow.
For James Harden, also 7 of the 10 shots that he made were contested, each of them, which means that the Minnesota Timberwolves are actually playing with effort and competitive and playing defense, but it just shows why he's so many people's favorite and the person I voted for to win MVP, because when he gets going, he's hard to shut off. But props to Trevor Ariza for getting him going. Eric Gordon played terrific, and Clint Capella's had a terrific series in blocking shots and grabbing boards.
Jalen Rose, I love Get Up. I love watching it every morning. Another thing I love about Get Up is when you bring the Get Up research to Jalen and Jacoby. One of my favorite things.
Love scoring amazing hotel deals? Then you've got to get the Hotel Tonight app. Forget scrolling through never-ending lists of hotels. Hotel Tonight shows you a select list of incredible deals at hotels you actually want to stay at. And even though the name's Hotel Tonight, you can book up to 100 days in advance in top destinations and up to a week in advance everywhere else. Want to get those deals? Yeah, you do. Download the Hotel Tonight app now.
Julio Jones, who you so brilliantly titled the Millennium Falcon, has changed his social media accounts. He's gone private on Twitter. He's deleted every single thing that associates him with his team, the Atlanta Falcons, on Instagram. He said that he, quote unquote, needs a fresh start. It sounds like he doesn't need a fresh start on social media. It sounds like he wants a fresh start in a new uniform. What do you make of these passive-aggressive moves from Julio Jones?
He's just trying to get paid. That's what it sounds like to me. He's looking around the landscape of the league, and he's seeing the kind of money that Aaron Donald may get for being the best player at his position with the Rams, holding out, and/or Khalil Mack with the Raiders. And he's like, wait a minute. It's time for me to cash in. We made it to the Super Bowl a couple years ago. And so that's one. But two, the one thing that Falcons fans can be optimistic about is he kept his avatar picture as Julio Jones, the football player of the Atlanta Falcons.
Well, that is a good and astute point and observation. But my question for you is important, as you are an ex-athlete and you understand how this works much better than I do, our audience. A lot of times I get confused when people send messages to their employers through the media or through social media. Isn't this like the wrong way to express your unhappiness with your employer, to do it publicly like this so everyone sees it and ESPN talks about it all day long?
Yeah. Well, what ends up happening is you underestimate the power of the media and the reach and the voice. So you figure you're going to unfollow the squad and they're going to know, and the social media people that's hired by the team that want you to post stuff are going to know. You don't realize it's going to be the lead topic on every show. Because if you notice, he's always been reserved, low-key, not what's perceived as the quote-unquote diva-type receiver. So I think that him doing this, wasn't because he realized the outcry that was going to take place in the conversation that it was going to create.
Well, someone who is certainly considered the diva-type receiver is Odell Beckham Jr., and he is getting himself ready for the season, working out. And let's look at this video of him getting ready. He is pulling a GMC truck down the street using only a rope, sitting down using only his upper body. We have had so many debates amongst the staff about this video. Our producer, Harlan Endelman, says, no big deal, I could do this, get me a rope, let's do this right now. And our radio producer, Reggie, is saying, that must be fake, their car is probably moving, have you noticed that there's no sound on it? Yeah. What do you think? Impressive, impossible, or no big deal, I could do this easily?
First off, Harlan Endelman need to sit down and be humble. He can't do that, number one. Number two, you can tell that the video has been doctored because the truck continues to move forward, and as he's pulling the rope, he takes his hands off of it too pronounced. There's no way you'll be able to pull something in a tug of war like that's so heavy without taking your hands off it the way he does.
You're accusing Odell Beckham Jr. of pretending to pull a car that's actually moving with the motor? And here's one thing that supports your theory, and this is something that's been pointed out by the staff. The video does not have sound. Why would the video not have sound?
Because they don't want you to hear all of the bells and whistles that go into the fact that he's not actually doing it. But he got his point accomplished. We saw this with the post that was done recently with him and Dez Bryant. He's continuing to keep himself in the public eye via social media. That's what celebrities have found ways to do that just so happen to be really good football players.
I want to see athletes post their real offseason, like them sitting on the couch watching reality television or something. It's always them working out, hitting shots, getting ready for the season, grind, rise and grind. Like, you know you're spending a lot of time at the beach. You know you are. You know you're not working out 24 hours a day.
No, it's not about a salary. It's all about reality. Shout to KRS-One. Here's the thing. What is the first video this summer you saw that Odell Beckham was featured in?
Oh, you know I barely remember yesterday.
The one that he was eating pizza in the bed?
Oh, that's right. I don't think he didn't put that one out.
To him
he didn't put that one out.
With a substance? Correct. So based on that, now what you are able to do is do other posts so those posts get buried. It's really a smart PR play.
Adam Schefter made an interesting report on Get Up this morning. He didn't say that the Browns were going to pick Baker Mayfield with the #1 pick in the draft. However, he said that they definitely have considered picking Baker Mayfield with the #1 pick in the draft. Do you think there is a chance that that happens? Jalen?
No.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's fair.
Even if they wanted to take Baker Mayfield, they couldn't because they took Johnny Manziel a couple of years ago, and he's drawing too many comparisons of him. And also, I'll just say this. Everybody's sleeping on Lamar Jackson. And here's a nugget for you, a get-up one. He has more touchdowns in 38 games played than Saquon Barkley, who's a running back that people consider is the best prospect in the draft.
Interesting. I think Saquon Barkley is definitely the best prospect in the draft. And if it were I, the Browns, I would definitely pick him #1 overall and then pick a quarterback at #4. So I'm not going to lie to the people, right? I mean, part of this podcast is building a relationship with our listeners. You guys know me by now. You know Jalen so well. You're part of our family, especially if you listen every single day. You know everything about me, and I'm not going to lie. I'm wearing Allbirds right now. Right now, as I read this, as I say this to you, I am wearing Allbirds. They're nice. They're like a heather gray. I've got on my heather gray Grantland t-shirt. It's a nice, easy way to mix. And Allbirds, I was walking through the hall. Again, this is not a lie. I was walking through the hall on my way to the studio, and I thought to myself, something feels different. And I looked down at the Allbirds, and I was like, that's the difference. I've got clunky, flat feet. The Allbirds make me feel cozy. They make me feel light. It's just, as you get older, you become a lot more aware of how clothes make you feel. And Allbirds just don't feel good. They look good. They're not loud. You know, I'm 40 years old. I don't need the neon green swooshes next to the brown toe box, next to the purple tongue. I don't wear those. Younger people wear those. I like a simple, elegant design with no flashy logos. I like Allbirds. And I've been seeing a lot more Allbirds in the wild. Allbirds in the wild is a real thing. I thought that potentially Allbirds were regional when I went up to Northern California and saw so many Allbirds in the wild. And then I went to New York City. Allbirds in the wild. Allbirds are taking over. Get on the Allbirds wave. Get yourself some tree runners. They're shoes made from trees. Happy trees, happy feet. Not just trees. They're made from ethically sourced, FSC certified eucalyptus tree fibers. I do not know how to make shoes from trees, but I know how to wear shoes from trees. I know they look good. I know they feel good. Get on the Allbirds wave. Go to allbirds.com. Find your perfect pair of light, breezy, comfy shoes made from trees. Happy trees, happy feet. The tree runner from Allbirds. Jalen Rose. Amir Johnson was a rookie in the 2006 Piston teams that lost a playoff series to the Miami Heat. And he claims that series, they were beaten by the streets. They were beaten by South Beach. He warned his current 76ers teammates not to fall for that same trap. Is this a real thing that happens where nightlife and the streets can lose a playoff series for you?
No question about it, because there are certain cities that just are more about the nightlife than others. New York, Los Angeles, Miami, D.C., Atlanta, all come to mind. Houston, right off the top of my head. And don't sleep on Dallas, Toronto. So what ends up happening is there are people that work in certain industries called party promoters. And what they do is they know the night before the game that you're going to be in town. So what do? They put out those flyers that say special invited guests. So you feel like you're going to go get it in, and the home team would love for you to go get it in. They'll give you a bottle. They'll shout you by the DJ, and everybody knows you in town. You can champagne, campaign, stay up all night, and hopefully for the home team, you're getting rest. So you can use that home court advantage in the streets to your advantage when the game starts.
Jalen Rose, you know I don't normally read entire articles. I just read the headline and the first couple paragraphs, but I read this entire thing. MIT researchers are working on a dream control device. It's called Dormio, and it's complicated. I won't explain it all, but essentially they're working on a way that you can control what you dream about. If I could do that, I would hit a game-winning shot in the Garden for the Knicks, go home to my penthouse apartment to my family, and also in that penthouse apartment there'd be like 6 nannies and a personal chef. If you could control your dreams, what would your dream be?
If I could control my dreams, I would sleep and rest easily without one. I think sometimes when you have dreams that are positive, that's awesome, clearly. When you have them, they're negatives, they become nightmares. I would rather just not have a dream and sleep easy.
Did not expect that answer, but I love it. So Jill and I have been doing this show for a long time, and we know each other really well, and you kind of have to stare at this guy's face for hours every single day for 7 years. And one thing you can't help notice about my friend and co-host Jalen Rose, the hairline is fire. And when you spend that much time staring at the wavy perfection across from you, you start to look at your own. And you start to say, ooh, I'm 40 years old. I'm starting to creep in the corners a little bit. I always assumed that I would always have a full head of hair. I knew it was going to go gray, but I didn't know that I was going to start to lose it. Here's the thing. If you want to do something about that, you're better off keeping the hair that you have than trying to replace the hair that you don't have. Think about it. It makes a lot of sense. Do you want to turn to some weird solution? Do you want to do nothing about it? Or do you want to act now and keep the hair that you have? Guess what? There's a solution for this problem. It's 4hims forhims.com. Forhims, that's plural, FORHIMS.com. It's a one-stop shop for hair loss, skincare, and other wellness supplements for men. Thanks to science, baldness can be optional. When you go to forhims.com, they connect you with real doctors that give you medical-grade solutions to treat your hair loss, especially effective if you're in the early stages of hair loss, like I have realized I am in the past couple years. They give you well-known generic solutions. They will also give you name-brand prescriptions. They all help you keep your hair. There's no snake oil pills or gas station counter supplements. There's no waiting room. It's super easy. A doctor will ask you a couple quick questions, and they will prescribe you something, and those products are shipped directly to your door. Right now, you can get a trial month of Forhims for just $5 if you act now while supplies last. Go to the website, forhims.com, FORHIMS. This would cost you $100 if you went to the doctor or you went to the pharmacy. Right now, if you use the code, if you go to forhims.com/JANDJ, that is FORHIMS.com/JANDJ, J&J, forhims.com/JNJ. If you're like me and you never thought it would happen to you, but you're starting to notice that it is happening to you, go to forhims.com/JANDJ. Solve the problem before it becomes a problem. If you call 985-80-JALEN, you can leave us voicemails. We love these voicemails. We want to hear from you. We want to interact with you. We want your voice to be a part of the show just like ours. Tomorrow is Wednesday. We always celebrate the more intelligent, the more responsible, the kinder, gentler gender of our species by taking only female voicemails tomorrow. So ladies, call in 985-80-JALEN and leave those. Today, we're taking all callers like this one.
What up, though? This is Drew from Virginia. It's about 5 a.m., walking the dog, listening to the podcast. Just had a quick question for you. Derrick Rose was one of my favorite players when he came into the league. When he played for the Bulls, kind of fell off. And then I saw the rebirth of Derrick Rose last night against the Rockets. Just a quick question. Is this going to last or is this going to fizzle out? Keep giving the people what they want. Keep getting them checks. Shout out to Reg.
A couple of things. Appreciate the call.
Shout out.
Here's what category I see Derrick Rose has fallen into. When you've been the youngest MVP in the history of the league and you've had multiple injuries, you've played for multiple teams, people see you as a failure. And so he had to pick himself back up as a guy that left the Knicks unceremoniously, and they were looking for him for a day or two before he decided to check back in with the team. And then he ultimately went AWOL with Cleveland as well. What that is beyond what he may be dealing with personally, I'm only speaking from the professional side. You have to now not only humble yourself, but find a way to reinvent yourself. That's what it's about. That's what it takes to be a veteran. He went from being the guy that won the most prestigious award in basketball for an individual player.
He was the guy in the league.
To a guy that's a substitute on the 8th seed in the Western Conference playoffs. And so, how do you find that comfort? I'm going to give you guys the best parallel ever. I saw this play out with David Jacoby's favorite player, Lance. He left Indiana.
Yep.
He left the cocoon. And all of a sudden, he was bounced around the league and even out of the league. Now he's back in Indiana. He found his safe haven. That's what I see with Derrick Rose. He's back with Tibbs. He's back with Butler. He's back with Taj. We see what Joakim Noah is doing, basically looking like he's on Survivor. And so, with that being said, I think because he's able to run with Tibbs and that relationship has been rock solid, as long as he's there, he's going to be able to be a positive contributor when he's healthy.
Thank you so much for the call, Drew. Your dog gets up way too early. Hopefully you just have to walk your dog because you got to leave to work early. But, man, I get mad if my kids wake up at 5 a.m. I just let them scream for an hour before I get out of bed and take care of them. I hope your dog isn't waking you up and you got to go outside.
Speak for yourself.
I'm hoping that you got to leave for work at 5:30.
15 a.m., 3:30 these days.
Let's listen to another voicemail.
What up, though? It's your boy Levi from Seattle. Shout out Jalen, shout out Jacoby, of course shout out Reds. on the ones and twos, killing it. And I'm from Seattle, so I'm a diehard Mariners, Seahawks, Sounders, future NHL franchise, and Seattle Supersonics fan. And I was wondering how you feel about my opinion. Is it a soft move or boss move for me to still root against the Oklahoma City Thunder every chance I get? I don't care if it's regular season or playoffs, but especially in the playoffs. I'm hoping the Utah Jazz mop the floor with them this series, even though it hasn't started out that way. But so tell me what you guys think. I'm interested. Jalen being a diehard Detroit sports fan, and then Jacoby being a die-easy fan of many different teams. I want to hear what you guys think. Soft move or boss move? Me still rooting against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Peace. Keep cutting those checks.
Thank you for the call. Appreciate the support.
Shout out.
The die-hard fan is the only person qualified to answer this, because this doesn't fall into the category of somebody that's a die-easy fan.
Please continue, but that was unnecessary.
And here's why. He said it, not me.
You said it twice. You said it 3 times.
If you're ride or die for your team, it's a boss move to root against them if they leave. Plain and simple. As it relates to Seattle, since you brought them up, hey, Pete Carroll, go on and sign Colin Kaepernick. Y'all want to do it.
Do it.
You talking about
Stop
it
talking
on wax.
about it. This is like
you
the
signed
third
a couple
time.
of guys that have never thrown touchdown passes in the league. Stop trying to see what the media is going to say.
This is the third
Stop trying
time
to see
you've
what the
been flirting
fans
with
are
this
going to
guy.
say. Stop trying to gauge public interest before you sign them. Russell Wilson is a mobile quarterback. So is Colin Kaepernick. That would be an ideal backup in that system.
Take him into camp.
Gone are the days where we're trying to say which one of those guys is better, because Russell established himself as that. But we all know Colin deserves to be in the NFL, and the reasons he's not in the NFL have zero to do with his level of productivity. Go ahead and sign him. Go ahead and sign Colin.
We got a good question from Twitter that we're not prepared for, but we're going to try to work through anyways. This is from Paul Bass. Paul,
shout out.
Didn't even ask a question. Just said 2018 playoffs, ... dark alley team. So let's pick 5 dark alley players from this year's playoffs. I'm going to start because one is my guy. Steven Adams. Steven Adams is definitely one of my dark alley players. He got elbowed in the face by Jay Crowder and didn't even notice. He's like, oh, why did Crowder get a tech? I didn't even know what happened there. I'm picking him.
Well, your dark alley guys walking around as the sun rises in the morning, because I ain't seen him against Utah.
Nope. Another dark alley guy that I'm going to pick. Oh, let me think. This is hard. See, when we're not prepared for these, I always feel like I'm going to get them wrong. You know what I mean? I'm going to put Russell Westbrook as one of my dark alley guys.
That's why I'm not going to guess.
I'm going to get Russell Westbrook.
Complain about yours.
Okay, complain about mine. I got Steven Adams, Russell Westbrook. I got Nene. I love Nene. I got, let me think of these series. Who's still in the playoffs? Haslam. I'm going Haslam. And I need a guard. Like, I need a little feisty guard. I got Russell. Who's going to be my last dark alley point guard?
All right. For the sake of team building,
we'll go with Kevin Durant's burner account
and social interaction with this program, please compare our teams and tell us who you think win, because I'll now pick one just for the fun. How about at the center position, I'm going Joel Embiid.
That's it.
At the power forward spot, I'm going James Johnson.
I like that. At
the 3 spot,
Joe Ingles.
I'll take
Joe Ingles.
How about I go with... So up front is going to be Joel Embiid, Draymond Green, and James Johnson.
Oh, I like Draymond.
Drew Holiday and Chris Paul.
All right. I forgot who I have. I got Steven Adams, Nene. That's a big backcourt. Russell Westbrook. I forgot who my other one was. And then Kevin Durant's burner account. Those are mine. I'll take Draymond, though. Thank you so much for the questions on Twitter. Make sure you follow at Jalen and Jacoby. We got another voicemail.
Yo, what up, Jalen and Jacoby? It's Marvin from Perth. Look, I got my brother to buy tickets to Jalen and Jacoby show number 2. SeatGeek emailed me back and said there's no more tickets. Look, I've sent my brother from Perth to New York to make sure he can get to Jalen and Jacoby pod. So could you potentially hook my brother up, him and his wife, with tickets to Jalen and Jacoby pod on May 1st because, well, I can't be there, so I sent him to be there. And then I also sent my brother there to get a signed baseball bat by Jalen. So could you let us know?
I want to thank Marvin from Perth for calling in. Make sure your brother reaches out to us on social media. We'll evaluate it. We've got some tickets to give away. We'll see if we can take care of him and your sister-in-law. I also want to thank everybody else for calling. I want to thank the ladies for calling 985-80-JALEN.
Hey, ladies!
All female voicemails tomorrow. We'll be back tomorrow. Why, Jalen?
We're not done. We're not done. Got to give the people time. Give people what they want.
The new Allbirds Tree Runners are comfy shoes made from trees. When you put them on, they feel light and breezy. They're so comfy, they're like walking barefoot through a patch of 4-leaf clovers on a spring day. But they also look good, too. They come in a bunch of limited edition colors and are designed simply with no unnecessary logos. Allbirds is on a mission to prove that comfort, style, and sustainability don't have to be mutually exclusive. Go to allbirds.com and find your pair of light